In this lecture, we will talk about the variable declaration in Go. So, first of all, there are two ways in which you can define a variable in Go. There is the shorthand version and the longhand version. So, let's start with the shorthand. Let's declare a variable called foo, and we'll give this a value of foo. Now, if I try to print this out using the fmt print line, and I run go run dot, I will get this value right here, which is pretty cool. But now let's see the longhand version. So for the longhand version, you have to use the keyword var. So I will say var foo equals to foo2. Now let's try the same one again, the same print line. I will clear this out here and go run dot, and I get the value of the second variable. This is cool, but now you may be wondering what is the best one to use. So if you are inside the function, let's say inside the main function, you can use both of them. You can use var and you can use the shorthand version. But if you are trying to declare this variable in the global scope, so outside of the main function or outside of any function, then you can only use the longhand version. And this is because every declaration that is done in the global scope in Go, you have to prefix it with a prefix, with a key. So that key in this case would be var. So let's say var foo equals to foo3. Let me comment this out, all the other declarations, and running this again, I will get foo3. This is good, but now let's go a little bit deeper and talk about types in Go. There are a couple of types in Go, default types, basic types. Let's say like string, integer, float, boolean. These are like basic types in Go. So what I can do here is if I declare anything inside the main function, I can use the value, so Go can infer from the value of the variable what type the variable should be. So if I say this, like foo and the shorthand version, then Go would know that this is a string. So if I hover foo, I can already see that this is a string. But let's say I want to declare a variable and I don't know what the value should be. So let's call it foo, and the type should be string. So this is how you declare a variable when you don't know the type of the value of it. So you have to specify the type. So Go knows that variable foo is of type string. And right now what I can do is go a line lower and say foo equals to foo. So what I've done here is, first of all, I declare the variable foo, and I say that is a type string. And on the next line, I give it a value, which has to be a string. So running the same command again, and now I get the same value. This is good. Now, what about if I want to assign a value which is integer? You can already see, you don't need to run the command, you can already see that in this case my IDE is complaining and it's saying that this variable should be a string, because I said in the first line that this variable has to be a string. Now you may be wondering what happens if I don't assign any value to it. So let's clear this out, and trying to print a variable that I didn't give a value to. So go run dot, and what I get here, you will see nothing. But trust me, this is an empty string, but this is how an empty string looks like in Go. Let's try with something that is more visible. So let's try with an integer. I say variable foo should be an integer. And now running the same command again, and I get 0. This is called the default value of the variable in Go. So different types in Go have a default value. So for example, integer is 0, float is 0, boolean is false, and string is an empty string. This is pretty cool. Now let's see what happens if I try to declare a variable. Then I give it a value, which is name, right? And now this is complaining because this should be a string. And printing this out should give me name. And now, what if I want to change this value? Let's say I want to change the string. So I go a little bit lower and say foo equals to age. Now, if I print this out, I get age. What this means is that variables in Go are mutable. That means that you can assign a value to it and then you can change that value. Only the type is fixed, but value in Go, you can change the value of a variable. If I want to have an immutable variable, what I can do is define it with const. So I go outside of the main function and I say const bar, and I give it a value, let's say bar. And if I go inside here, and let's print this out here, if I go inside and say bar equals to foo, then I already see that the IDE is complaining about it and saying that I cannot assign a value to bar because this is a constant and the value should be bar. If I try to print this out, I will probably get an error, and here it is, saying that I cannot assign a value to bar. This is pretty neat. So in the next lectures, we will see how this applies in Go and what kind of patterns can we get out of this. But for now, let's end this lecture here.